These boundaries are keeping you single. That may be quite a statement, you might believe, coming from me. Boundaries keeping you single? Well, I'm going to tell you in what way you use boundaries that might be hurting you, keeping you single, and generally not a good approach with a man for one fundamental reason, and then some much smaller reasons, but big reasons for sure, uh, that are simply fundamental to the male species when we are first engaging with them, and certainly continuing in a relationship. So, welcome to this live, everyone here. Hi there on YouTube. And if you are on Instagram, I hope that you are coming over to YouTube because that is where we can interact. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you on these lives on Wednesday. And I don't know how long I'll be able to keep going on Instagram. And so I want you to come on over. And I truly appreciate that. And someone lovely I was talking to last night said to me, simply ask those on Instagram to please come over and support you on YouTube. And so I'm doing that. Thank you. I appreciate you coming over and supporting me on YouTube because that's where I can easily interact with you on these lives, give you the most value because long form content for me will give you the most value. We can interact. You can get to know me. I can get to know you. A really good place for that is YouTube. So come on over. So tonight, for those here on YouTube, hello. Let's get into what these boundaries are. And it's a bit of a misnomer on the thumbnail and the title because it's not that boundaries keep us single. It's the way we relate them to the man that will either inspire him or actually take his interest down. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I found a fabulous section of a video from Matthew Hussey. Love Matthew. He's got great material and he's a great spokesman for the males in this male-female duo that we talk about all the time. He really gets it. He's very high on the scale of getting it in terms of men. And I love that he's able to relate his insights to women. I would have loved to have played this video as part of my video here, but it has music and so there's copyright stuff on it, so I can't. So I actually printed it out for me to be able to read it to you here, and then I'm going to give you my take on the different parts of it, and then we can get to Q&A. Because when you foundationally understand this, you help yourself so much. And I'm seeing so much of what he is talking about in early dating that doesn't get past go. And I believe this is one of the reasons why. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into his words here that are very impactful and unpack it a little bit for you in terms of my take on it as well. So this is about early dating specifically, but we can extrapolate it and extend it into continuing to date and relationships as well under the large umbrella that men relate via action. It's one of the gender gaps in my book. The 5 gender gaps that are in my book here. Why won't he commit? That women relate via verbalization, men relate via action. So it's super important that you understand in every area when you can take action over verbalization. You're going to do yourself a huge favor. And Matthew addresses that here. But before we go any further, for those of you who don't know who I am and don't know that I wrote this book and I am a coach for dating and relationships for women, a social worker, and I host the podcast, Make Him Wonder. I help you find a Mr. Right, get an ex back, or grow an existing relationship so you create the relationship of your dreams and you level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. That's what I'm all about. So let's get into these boundaries and the way they are executed that are potentially hurting you if you don't make this little tweak. And if you are verbalizing over just taking action. So these are Matthew Hussey's words. Shout out to him. Like I said before, great, a lot of good material. And I generally support most of what he talks about, although we do differ in little areas. So he starts out, never reveal your strategic moves in dating you might be thinking about. And he says right here, you might be thinking, isn't honesty important? Well, discretionary honesty in terms of what you let someone know along the way. So you might be thinking, shouldn't I be upfront about exactly how I date? And yes, integrity matters, but there's a major difference between being honest and being predictable. Let's get this clear. Dating is not a game, but it is a dance. And every powerful dancer knows the importance of rhythm, mystery, and timing. Yes, along the way, you reveal little bits about yourself, but not your strategies in dating. This is where I see many women that come to me kind of go awry, especially from online dating, because they want to put up boundaries very quickly in terms of what they tell a man, not just through action. Remember that overriding umbrella, men relate via action. He goes on, when you reveal your strategy, how you operate, what you expect, what you're testing for, or what rules you follow, you lose the very essence of your feminine influence, which is unpredictability. So right there, he's really taking a play for me, which is you got to make him wonder. You have to make a man wonder. That's being unpredictable. Doesn't know what you're going to do next. And if you understand men in terms of, like, for example, the 3 C's that are in my book, they are about challenge, competition, conquering. I often say many times, you can know everything you need to know about dating a man under the lens of sports. A man wants to play his worthy opponent, not discuss it, not discuss the moves he's going to make. One is offense, one is defense. And it can fluctuate between. That's the dance Matthew is talking about. He goes on. A lot of women believe that explaining their intentions makes them seem mature or emotionally intelligent. So they say things like, I never chase, or I always wait 3 days before texting back, or I'm only seeing one person at a time because that's how I build connection. So while these might be personal truths, revealing them gives a man a cheat sheet to your entire approach, and it feels like a game. That's the key. You have to know that you are being strategic and you are doing an approach, so to speak, and you have certain boundaries. But for the man, for the intrigue, the fun, and the inspiration of any challenge is that you just do it. You don't talk about it, and you certainly don't express what moves you're going to make before you make them. That takes all the fun out of it. And make no mistake, it should be fun, intriguing, inspiring, mystery. That's what allows really both parties, in a sense, to fall in love. So again, he says, while these might be personal truths, revealing them gives a man a cheat sheet, which he doesn't want to have. Believe me, that lowers his interest. And once he knows your playbook, and here's what's interesting, if you know how I talk about, you got to make him wonder. There's no mystery left, no intrigue, no subtle challenge to ding, 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 keep him wondering. So you see, when you hear it from different folks, he's male, I'm female, he's younger than I am, it is so important to hear the same things from different voices. He's got that wonderful British accent. So he goes on. It's tempting to explain your behavior, especially when you want to appear clear and direct, but over-explaining your choices removes the tension that fuels early attraction. Very important. Yes, that tension is for both of us, right? The male and female. But for men, it's super important because we love through knowing. That's one of the gender gaps. I have 5 of them. Very important. This is one of them. Women love through knowing. Men love through wondering. They actually fall in love through wondering. And to keep them in love, we have to keep them wondering to one degree or another. So, showing your hand, giving your playbook, as he puts it, will not help you. You need to just execute it, not talk about it, certainly not belie it and tell it. So, for example, if you delay replying to a message because you're setting boundaries and prioritizing your time, that's a powerful move, right? You know, I talk about this in my 5 R's of texting. If you haven't seen that video, the 5 R's of texting, it goes through each one, and you have to always, no matter using 5 R's or not, you have to vary up your response time so he doesn't know what he's going to get. He doesn't know when you're going to respond back. What is that? Ding, ding, ding. Wondering. But if you tell him you're doing that as part of a test or part of your self-worth journey, it loses all of its, he says, energy, and I say all of its cachet, all of its elan, all of its mystery. Now it's not mystery, it's mechanics. The truth is, men are more drawn to women who have depth, who seem intuitively intentional and calm, but are not fully predictable. Yes, they make him wonder. So, if he knows exactly how you think, how you date, and what you're protecting, He no longer has to earn your trust or affection. Think about that. He already knows the map. There's no wonder. If you want to keep him engaged, let your actions speak louder than your explanations. Actions louder than your explanations, you see? Let your silence carry just as much weight as your words. When in doubt, wait him out. I always say that, when in doubt, wait him out. When you walk away from poor behavior, let it be clear that you have standards not because you said so, but because he felt it. You see, you don't have to say, these are my standards. You've shown them. Men relate via action. There's also a subtle danger in trying to appear too strategic. When you openly discuss your dating rules, you come across as emotionally armored. That's a little too much for a man to break through, you see? And while you might think that shows strength, it can actually create distance. It can make a man feel like he's in an audition, not a real connection, like he's being tested, not chosen. I totally agree with that. The women who remain unforgettable in a man's life are the ones he couldn't fully figure out. Wonder. Yep. You see how it's different ways of saying the same thing, but it's all the same theme? Yeah. The women who remain unforgettable in a man's life are the ones he couldn't fully figure out, not because they were manipulative, but because they were intentional. They didn't explain their moves. They let him feel the results of them. So the next time you're tempted to say, I'm doing this as part of my dating strategy. I read that this is an important thing and I'm trying this out in my dating life. Or I'm not responding to test how much you care. No. Let your strategy live within you, not your words. I love that. You are allowed to be thoughtful, selective, cautious, and even strategic. I use that word all the time here. We need to have a strategy. It's not a game. It's important, but it's how you execute it via action. Don't advertise your strategy by talking about it, telling him about it. Just do it. Don't turn your intuition into a script he can memorize, because the power isn't in what you tell him. It's in what you do. I thought that was super important for you to hear from another voice that is in this space, a male voice. He's from across the ocean. That wonderful saying, Britain and America, two countries separated by a common language, because we have so many different words for things. A baby, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. It's pram in they use it in pram, but you're pushing a baby carriage. Umbrella is something like chute or something like that. I don't know, but it's fun to certainly it's so beautiful to hear English speakers with a British accent. Love it. Take the words, understand them, deeply connect to them, and always keep it in your mind that, yes, you must wonder. And you don't want to espouse any strategy you are employing. It may feel like you are showing high value, but you're not showing it. You're just saying it. It is not inspiring to the man. It can seem manipulative at worst and guarded at best. So you just want to change that. If you have been doing something like it, because if you have been, it may be one of the reasons you have been struggling a little bit and it's not serving you. So be sure to think about that if that's the case. So I hope those over on Instagram will come over to YouTube, because I'm going to be taking Q&A over here only on YouTube. It's part of what I give to those on YouTube. So please do that. And join me here, Coach Paula Grooms, on YouTube. And also, if you join the 80/20 Wonder Club, you can be talking to me here. Many of the women here on YouTube that are generally part of the lives, they know that I talk to women here via the phone. You hear it, I hear it, and it's anonymous. Use a different name, and we can be talking live. I can be answering your questions and getting the information I need to give you the best coaching on whatever your situation is. So let's get to Q&A tonight. And before we do that, if you would be so kind as to like this video, I ask that if you're here to please subscribe, to share. Your comments mean more to me than anything, because they help the algorithms, help me grow the channel, and that keeps our community growing of the wonderful Wonder Women here, and we get to share and keep going. So let's see. We have one question from Angel. Is it okay to tell a man in the beginning you are looking for marriage and children, or should that be held back? That's a great question. And that's a very different thing than talking about dating strategy. And I hope you see the difference. To be able to say what you're looking for, what you desire in a broad way when you first start dating is actually important if it opens up the man to be honest with you, and you can accept the honesty, and you actually will incorporate it and do something about it. Here's what I mean by that. If you are just meeting someone, and every man knows that a woman's most valuable asset is her time. It is just an unfortunate truth that we do not have the time that men have in dating. If we want children, absolutely. And even if we are looking to be completely committed, there is a differential, and we can't ignore that fact, because in the, let's put it this way, in the mammal kingdom of it, we look under the lens of simply being the mammals we are. We as women are prey, men are predators. That may seem harsh, but if you kind of see it under that lens, you get that we have to be protective of our time. We have to be protective of our bodies. We have to be more self-protective than men do. And that means we have to guard against being put in positions whereby men will take advantage of our feminine, loving nature. Because remember, we see commitment as a natural outgrowth of love. Men view commitment as a responsibility. It's another one of my gender gaps. Make sure you know these. Because he will not fall through time and sex. Women fall in love through time and sex. Men do not. men only fall in one way, and that is through the pursuit of your time, attention, and affection. There is a differential here. We need to know it. And men appreciate a woman who lives in that knowing and does what we're talking about here tonight, holds herself to a certain standard that holds him to the concurrent standard. And if he cannot give you, to your question, Angel, what you are looking for, you have to be ready then to not continue to date him. It's absolutely fine to say in the beginning, if he asks you what you're looking for, I'm looking for that real connection, that real relationship that leads to eventual marriage and children. I would love that to happen. You're not saying it's with him. You're simply stating it. And depending on his reaction to it, you can say, you know, it brings it up here, and I'm glad you did. Are you looking to do that in your life? Are you looking for marriage and children? Now, again, you're saying, or actually, you didn't ask it either way. Just, is it okay to tell the man in the beginning? I believe it's important for you to ask it. When you first meet, if there's any inclination, like for example, you meet from online dating, he asks you out from your first online meeting. You can say, I really liked meeting you. I would like to go on another date. I'm just curious before we do, because I'm dating intentionally. And you see, it's kind of light. You're not giving strategy. You're just dating intentionally, which is, to find my person. And then you can ask, how about you? And if he says, yeah, I am too, and you say, oh, great. And what eventually are you looking for? You want to ask it that way first. And again, that's high value if you ask him first, because you need to see what he really answers, not just what he's going to tell you in that moment in order to tell you what you want to hear. And I'm not impugning men for doing what they do. It's just that they're in front of you. Men are on top of time. They are right here, right now. You are pretty, standing there. If they are interested, want to immediately have sex with you and want to pursue you. I mean, that's just a given. So they're clouded. And they can easily say, oh yeah, I'm looking for a relationship. And then maybe you go a little further and eventually someday I'll get married and maybe have kids. Maybe have kids. Okay, if he said that, now you have to gauge it for yourself. Do you give it another chance or two and then dig a little deeper? You see? Because it's that dance. In other words, you can't go straight to the final twirl and you bend over, right? Metaphorically, you know what I'm saying? You can't go to that. You have to do the dance step by step. So it's a little bit of that art and a little bit of making him wonder. But the minute you feel like, okay, I'm really, I'm starting to like him, this is date 3 or something like that, you can then be more honest. I'm going to be honest here. I hope you would too. What are you really looking for at this point in your life? At this point in your life. If he says, well, I'm looking to eventually get married and children, and eventually can be a very long time. That could be 10 years from now. What are you thinking if you met the right person? So you're saying, I'm not asking you to tell me about me if you met the right person. Men who are ready will likely tell you, and especially if they have any interest in you at all, they'll say, well, no, in the next couple of years, I'd like to meet the person and I'd like to get married. And you're interested in kids or not? In other words, if you haven't told him first, that would be a good thing. I'll give you from my own experience, from my entire adult life. I knew very early on that I did not want to have children, and I knew that was not going to change. That made it very difficult to date. You might think it actually made it easier. No, it made it more difficult, much more, because men tend to, it's a someday thing, leaving their options open. There are very few men that are hard and fast, do not want to have children. Now there are, but they are fewer and farther between, because most men will leave themselves open to finding the right woman. And if she wants to, he will do that. It's a little more fluid for men. They are not going to be the main caregivers most typically, so it's a little more fluid and they have more time, you see? So I learned to leave it open when I asked and not say, I am not looking, because if I did that, they would immediately switch to, oh yeah, I don't care if I have kids or not. And then down the road, I would find out differently. So leave it open. Oh, are you looking to have children? Open. So I hope that answers that. Yes, you want to, step by step along the way. Even does your husband have to wonder? Yes. It's not something that once you're committed, that goes away. And it can be subtle, but it's why we don't belie everything to a man. There has to be mystery. I'm going to be doing more about actual specifics. Things like, and that's probably going to be next week, things like body count. I mean, there are women in a whole movement, they want to tell the man, out of a feeling of complete transparency and honesty, everything to a man. We'll go over more of that next week. It's very important that you understand there has to be wonder. Men don't want to know certain things, and no good will come out of certain things. And especially related to something about other men, a challenge, something they couldn't protect you from. A good example is if you have had very difficult, or say even an abusive relationship, you don't want to be telling that to a man, because there will be in the back of his mind, a bit of judgment of, why would this woman let a man treat her like that? It falls under, if you want to understand it under this lens, or the opponent. You see? And it's confusing to him then if you are presenting in one way, but you said you were a different way before. This is something you can talk about with your girlfriends, your mother, your sister, your therapist, but do not give a man that kind of information. He's not equipped in the way that you are to handle it. He doesn't incorporate things in the same way that your brain does. And this is true. Male and female brain differences. The gatherer who puts all pieces together and understands complexity, and the male brain of black and white, on or off, stop or go, yes or no, male or female, value or not value. You see? So don't confuse him. I hope that makes sense. Now, does your husband have to wonder? Yes, in small ways. If you can, I think one of the best things, 2 words: separate bathrooms. Very simple. People get very complacent in relationships. I should let it all hang out. He should see everything from me, etc. No, he doesn't have to. Where is it written that he has to? Better that he doesn't. And you don't need to see him either. Now, you may not be as bothered by it, but you don't have to. Okay? Other things like can be very simple in a marriage. Do the same thing that we talk about in dating in terms of texting. Don't just immediately answer. Don't be calling him unless it's something very tangible that you must know. A tangible something or other. No questions in text that are about just feelings or something that's not tangible. Be a little elusive in text, because even in marriages now, text is a big part of your relationship. That's where you can be more elusive. I remember meeting up with a colleague of mine. He had been married like 30 years or something. And I think it was when I was writing my book, I last saw him. And he was saying something like, and it was perfect, you know, I'll text my wife and like she'll take hours to text me back. And I just wonder, what's she doing? And I knew like right then, it's that simple. I just wonder, what's she doing? Yes. And it wasn't like she's trying to, and I don't agree with you. You don't ever try to make a man jealous. You do not want to play that game of that you might be entertaining other men, anything like that at all. No, not in dating or in a marriage. Now, Matthew mentioned here about, you wouldn't want to say something like, I only date one person at a time, because this is very early on. If you're meeting someone from online, it's pretty much a given. You're dating. You, again, don't need to say it. You do it, meaning you're not always available to this one man. You don't keep answering him quickly and without intervals, and maybe you let one text go by. You see? So that's how you make him wonder subtly. So I hope this was helpful to understand. Yes, there are boundaries, but belying them by talking about them will not move the needle for you in a way that is going to be most beneficial. And that, yes, keeping the wonder is very important. It can be subtle, and at times, and especially in dating, it's going to have to be a little more, but it's through action, not words. So good to see you here tonight. If you have any other questions, I am here on Wednesdays live. And again, those on Instagram, I hope you will come over and join us here so I can see your questions and answer them in lives. And also, many times we have a woman come on anonymously via the phone and ask me a question, and we actually have a conversation. And I think those can be very helpful to you. You can think about joining the 80/20 Wonder Club. It's less than a latte a month, and you can do that. You get all 200 plus episodes of Making Wonder there, and it can be really wonderful to meet you, talk to you, even if it's an anonymous name and it's simply in audio. So with that, tonight, I'm going to love and leave you so your man doesn't. And please, if you got value from this live tonight, hit that red alert bell. Those of you who are not, come over to YouTube, join us here, subscribe, share. It really means a great deal to me. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.